Greetings, greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house. Welcome, welcome. I am pleased and absolutely delighted to be welcoming you to a new educational series with a wonderful guest who is backstage right now and coming forward in just a moment or two. So to those of you who don't know me, my name is Sister Shanice, and I'm absolutely delighted to be part of this new series. I'm a graduate of the Dr. Winter's Africana Phenomenology Research Program, and this is part of a new strand of African-centered researchers and producers of scholarly work. And we are focusing on unearthing some of our hidden talents as a people. As we all ought to know, we are great beyond measure. We are the first anthropologists, archaeologists, linguists who introduced agriculture, science, medicine, metallurgy, and so much more to the world. And we have all of this yet still to offer. Well, what are the challenges? Well, one of the major challenges tends to be the way we think as Africans. So in this new series, we're going to be introducing you to some new concepts that's going to change the way that you think. And the title of the program is Organic African Paradigm. And so our guest is going to be presenting the African color psychology. So let's bring our guest front of house so that I can introduce him to you without further delay. Welcome, welcome, Mitri. Mitri is going to be our teacher for this session. He was born and raised in West Africa, Liberia, migrated to the US, and he is the founder of the Organic African Paradigm. And he was inspired to do this back in November 2017 and initiated it in 2020. So we are honored to be part of the formal teachings of this perception and brain development for Africans globally. Welcome, welcome, Mitri. We are delighted to have you in the house to teach us these new concepts.
The one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. The one who comes to learn is especially always welcome. Positive energy and creation energy to you, my dear sister, Shanice. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be your teacher today for this lesson.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much. And it's not just going to be this lesson, is it? It's going to be part of a new series. And
yes.
You're going to be changing our mindset, de-colour-nising and re-colour-nising the African people's psyche. So I'm really excited about this. Let me allow you to go straight into today's lesson.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to put up our screen so we can begin. Give me 1 sec here. Let me get our, slideshow mode on. Then we can begin.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for that to come up, just to say, this is a new educational series, and we're seeking to introduce some new concepts, new terminologies, new schools of thought from an African-centered perspective.
Yes, can you see my screen well?
Seeing it clearly.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. So positive energy and creation energy to the audience, to all of you out there. We are going to be doing some de-colour-nising today. And the word here is de-colour-nising, not de-colour-nising. So we're going to be doing a little word play today, and we are going to be re-colour-nising the African people. So first thing first is we need to make an introduction of the Organic African Paradigm again, so that the audience get a sense of what the Organic African Paradigm is. Now, the Organic African Paradigm, in the simplest definition, means natural identity blueprint, something that grows out of the African soil, the African foundation, the African, what is natural to Africans. That means that there's no influence or something that the Europeans or Arabs constructed and they put into it to alter it. You know, it's strictly taken from the African Peoples Foundation, and is meant to teach Africans only. It's not made for Europeans, it's not made for Asians, it's not made for Arabs or any other group. It's specifically tailored to Africans. If you try to take it to a European, it wouldn't work. You try to take it to an Arab, it wouldn't work. They would throw it in the trash immediately. So the only people who would benefit from it is just Africans. That's the first thing we need to understand about Organic African Paradigm. It is based on every culture in Africa merged into one, then refined to be explained in a modernized context. So if you take African spirituality, you explain it in a modern context, you get Organic African Paradigm. If you take African social behavior, cultures, and arts, explain it in modern context, you get Organic African Paradigm. If you take African intellectualism, explain it in modern language, you get Organic African Paradigm. You take African political structure, explain it in modern language, you get Organic African Paradigm. And you take African economical structures, explain it in modern language, you get Organic African Paradigm. So that is what you need to know about Organic African Paradigm. It is purely built for Africans. So let's go into our lecture today, and we are going to be studying the African color psychology. We are going to de-color-nise you and then re-color-nise you. We are going to rebuild the color spectrum in your mind. That's what I'm saying here. So you see the wheel of color right here. And then this is the Dogon. This is not the Dogon. This is the Dagara wheel of color from Burkina Faso. There's a group of people in Burkina Faso. This is called the wheel of medicine. And then this is another version of it, the black version and the black and white version. So we are going to be going into a color from an African perspective. So what do you see in front of you? Sister Shanice, you clearly see a color wheel, right? The color spectrum. And yeah, this is an interactive course. So if I ask you, just, jump in. This is the color wheel, but you see red, you see yellow, you see green, you see blue, but in the backdrop, what do you see in the backdrop of these colors
Black.
here? You see black. What do you see in the backdrop of this color? You see this one right
Black
here, the gold, you see black. What do you see in the backdrop of this other image? You see black as well,
Black.
right? So black is something that exists. It is something that we use on a daily basis. It's everywhere around us. It's everywhere in our environment. So when I ask you, what do you see? Don't ignore the black, right? Because of the shining white and yellow and blue, but the black is also present. Now, there are 3 keys you need for you to understand all knowledge in the universe. That's a big statement. That's a bold statement for someone to say you only need 3 keys and you understand everything in the universe. But I'm going to explain this to you, and then we'll go into the next slide. So in order for you to understand this universe we live in, the 3 keys of understanding are reality, tools, and illusions. If you can tell what reality is, physical, tangible reality, if you can tell what an illusion, a non-tangible thing, and if you can tell what a tool is, you will understand the fundamental of the universe. No one can come and play with your mind, because illusions are things that humans project from their mind. Only when humans construct that illusion into something that is called a tool does that become a reality. So you can imagine a hammer in your mind, but until you take reality, which is the metal, iron, copper, and you mold it and shape it to form a hammer, it is simply an image in your mind. So the illusion is something in your mind that doesn't manifest until you turn it into a tool. A tool is something you use to facilitate your life. A car is a tool. A house is a tool. Clothes are tools, right? Imagine if you didn't have a house, you didn't have clothes, you didn't have shoes. You would be just nature. pure nature. So reality now is, if the president of England or prime minister goes to the safari in Africa, goes to the water, puts his hand in a crocodile's mouth, what do you think will happen to his hand, Sister Shanice? That's a question.
It will be left in a crocodile's mouth.
Because the crocodile doesn't care he's the president of the UK. The crocodile doesn't care he's the Xi Jinping or president of something. The crocodile doesn't see his title, how important he is, who worship him, who do this. The crocodile doesn't recognize anything about him. It will eat him straight up. That is what reality is made of. It is made of nature, divinity, the most powerful forces. So now you understand these three things. Every other knowledge in the universe, if you master this, every other knowledge will come easy to you. Okay? Remember, I told you I would draw out the knowledge from within you. It's already in you, but I'm drawing it out. I'm pulling it out. You already knew that the crocodile would eat his hand regardless of his status. I just drew that out, so now you would recognize that he's not as big or scary as he seemed through the illusions that people create around him. Nature doesn't recognize him. The pigeons don't recognize him. The birds would defecate on his car. They don't care, right? So the story of the universe. If you are going to tell the story of the universe, my question to you, Sister Shanice, is what do you see in this image here? This is from NASA, by the way.
Okay, I see a lot of beautiful black and some whitish, silver, small circles. Maybe they're different stars that are glaring or planets.
Okay,
and
perfect.
I can see, maybe, is that the world looking like a disc?
This is they call it the story of the universe, how the universe emerged out of the seed, the cosmic seed. So the Dogon people call it the cosmic seed, the Europeans call it the Big Bang Theory, right? But regardless is the Europeans copied theirs off of what Africans created. Africans said the world universe came out of a seed. So they just created a kind of like a pod to show the universe emerging. But the universe is emerging out of everything else that is around it is black. So the black is still there. Everything is just emerging out of the black. So the Europeans cannot explain the universe without telling you that light emerged out of blackness. You get what I'm saying here? So in order for them to explain the universe to you, they tell you that the universe emerged out of an existence of blackness. So this tells you that black again existed. So before the universe could even be conceived, black existed. So now the question is, where does black or dark fit in the universe? Where does black and dark fit in the human mind and its function, especially those affecting our behavior in all given context? Now, our behavior manifests in culture, right? Our mind manifests in culture, images, how we look at ourselves, how we express ourselves. So this is an art of a Black woman. This is an art of a Black woman. It's being expressed, it's being projected, right? So our minds, the human mind, the function, it gives blackness. And when it's expressing blackness, the behavior we use to express blackness is, this image is beautiful. Clearly, no, I mean, if they wanted to make this image ugly, they would have made it ugly, but they did not. They made it beautiful. So the blackness and darkness does fit in the human mind. The human mind can conceive it. So the function we use to project blackness is through culture, images, sound, script, social, economical, political, intellectual. However, in this world we find ourselves in, blackness, the other day I heard someone saying we shouldn't identify ourselves with black because Europeans created the black. Black did not exist in the universe before Europeans thought it up, which is false. Black, as you can see, Europeans cannot explain the universe without telling us that black was there first. So in their hubris is when you're too arrogant to know, and you're too, how do you call it? When you're too arrogant to admit something, and you're too ignorant to know that you're doing it. So they can't tell us that black is bad, black is ugly, black is evil. But when they express the universe they are obsessed with, they begin with black. When they do images, they can't help it. So we have to understand that black can be used through cultural images, sound, script. It can be used socially to influence people. It can use economically to influence people, politically to influence people, and spiritually and intellectually. So this is what we call color psychology, using black to manipulate all dimensions of human existence. If you want to control black people, you want to make them feel ugly, black children to feel hate their skin color, you simply use black. You project it with an illusion into something it's not. Your job is to convince people to absorb that idea into their minds. Once you are successfully able to colorize their mind, alter the color spectrum in their mind, you now possess them. You control their economical, their political, their intellectual, maybe how they see themselves. Maybe black people might say, we are not as good enough. We are not as special. We are not as important. We can't do it. Maybe everything, only the Europeans, the Arabs, and Asians can do it because of what you have done with color. So this is called color psychology. That's the meaning of color psychology. Now, when me and you go to the dictionary right now and we ask, what is the definition of black? We're going to find something that is purely an illusionary definition, meaning that some Europeans sat down somewhere on a keyboard and typed up the definition of black. They typed it up to put it in the dictionary for us. Now, when people use black in the dictionary, they can add their own illusion. They can create a behavior and ascribe it to that color black. Doesn't mean that black is like that in the universe. Reality. Remember, reality is completely different. Tools is what we create. Illusion is what you think of in your mind and you project it. Okay? So, in the dictionary, darkness, dark, night, they're all the same definition, black. They all have the same meaning. Okay? Darkness, night would be a period of darkness. When the sunrise, before the sunrise or sunset, this is everything that's not below sunrise is called night. We sleep at night. We have families at night, right? It's also called darkness. So night has to do with a particular period where humans go to sleep to recharge their body. But night is black also. So you can say in nature, blackness, a period of blackness is not an evil period. It's a period of spiritual repose. It's a period of spiritual regeneration or spiritual healing, restoration, etc. Right? Because when you are asleep at night, majority of your immune system is repaired at night. That's when people make love in the dark. That's when you see men touching their women at night. That's when your children are sleeping, you say, you got to turn the light off so we can all sleep in the house. The only reason we humans project fear onto night is because of other human beings. Because we are worried that when we are in that vulnerable state, another human being will break into our house while we are sleeping, unconscious, and attack us. So we are not fearing the night itself. We are fearing the human being who is in their own mind going to break into your house and harm you. If you live in a society where no human being could ever break into your house or burglarize your house at night, you would never fear. The only reason we fear night or darkness is simply because of what humans are capable of at night. Now, a human who doesn't want to get caught, they want to come and break into your house and attack you while you're sleeping, while you're weak and vulnerable, while you're recharging, while you're restoring, while you're healing, while you're in a spiritual state. They want to attack you. They come in the night when you are not able to physically confront them. Now, if they see you in the daylight, they can fight you and you can fight back. Both of you will just throw it out. You get, that's why people use the cover of night. They don't use it because darkness is evil. They use it because they're cowards. Now, blackness, as you can see, this is an excerpt from the dictionary. I typed in the dictionary, what is blackness? They say blackness is darkness. What, then I type in what is darkness? They say darkness is blackness. So there's no two-way around it. If you say, I'm a black person, and you are proud of that black, you are in a state of blackness. You understand what I'm saying here? Because you call yourself a black person, and you are actively doing something in that black behavior, that black culture, that black thing, you are in a state of blackness. So you are in a state of darkness regardless, because darkness and blackness means the same thing. Blackness, in the definition of the dictionary, says is a social and cultural identity and experience of Black people. So this is not me saying this. This is Europeans. So the same European says blackness means darkness. Then the same Europeans goes on and say blackness is the social and cultural identity and experience of Black people. I didn't say that. Then the Europeans goes again to define darkness. He says the quality of being dark in shade or color. I showed you the two South Sudanese women for a reason, so that you could recognize their shade and color. Now, he goes on to say again, the quality or state of being dark as such, right? Then we go to the word black. What is black, right? Now we know what darkness is or blackness is. We got to go to black. So he goes on again. He said black is the very darkest color owing to the absence or complete absorption of light. Same thing again. You get what I'm saying here, Sister Shanice?
Mm-hmm.
And he calls black, the European calls black the opposite of white. He doesn't call black the opposite of light. He calls black the opposite of white. Okay? Now, you see this background here. This is a white background. So black is the opposite of a white background. So black would be the opposite of the stars, the white stars in the heavens. It would not be the opposite of a European, because the European is a different shade, right? He can convince you that he looks white, and he can project that illusion into your mind. And you can absorb that illusion, and you can use that as your social, political, economical, spiritual, and intellectual way of perceiving him. So he can project it, you can absorb it, and then perceive him that way. If you choose to say, what is the reality? How can I see him in reality? Then you cannot see him as a white paper. You have to see him as another color of the spectrum. Okay? Now, then he goes on to say, belonging or denoting human group having dark skin color. So he does say that Black people are a human group from sub-Saharan African descent. Now he goes on to express the color psychology, how he perceives the color in his psychology. Black or color pigment, member of dark group. And then he said the situation not owning money or making profit in the business. You know, when businesses don't make profit, they say, we fell in the black, right? That's his way of perceiving black, not the world, not the universe. He came up with that way to express his view of black. Then he says something that is evil or this or that, ugly, and so and so. This is all his definition. It has nothing to do with what black is. He is projecting that idea onto paper. You are perceiving that idea, ingesting the idea, digesting the idea, and you are regurgitating the idea. So you are not subject to his definition of black. You are subject to your definition of black. So I put in the word black in the search engine in Google. I type in black to see what would come up. And a human being pop up, and all these dark images pop up. So clearly, black and dark images are the same. So in his mind, this is what black represents. And then he takes illusions and attributes it to the human beings, to the colors. That's his thing. You absorbing that makes it your new reality. Okay, let's go forward. So when you type in the word dark, remember that last word I typed in was black. Then I type in the word dark again in the Google search. And then black people again show up. Again, it says explore more, search it, dark, person, skin. Do you understand what I'm trying to convey, Sister Shanice? So the search engine doesn't lie. You put in black, it shows a black person. You put in dark, it shows a dark person. But let's go forward. Dark now is, you go to NASA, you ask, what is dark matter? They tell you dark matter, or matter meaning material, meaning tangible. This is matter right here. So anything that is black in color and it is made of physical tangible material is a dark matter. Okay? There are different, and then he says there is an energy that is dark energy. So there are types of energy. There's kinetic energy, there's potential energy, but then he comes up and says there is another energy called dark energy. And he tells you the universe is made of dark energy. He cannot interact with it, but it's there. Einstein was the one who discovered dark energy, according to them. All of these people came up with the telescope and so and so. But the dark energy was there when the Africans were there. The dark energy was there before the Europeans came up and looked up at the sky. When the ancient Africans used to look up at the sky, they used to see the dark energy. They used to see the dark matter. So it's not that they just finally learned to see dark matter. The European is projecting his perception into the world, and we Africans are absorbing his perception and regurgitating his perception. So if he add anything to darkness, we absorb it. If he says evil, we absorb it. If he says good, we absorb it. If he says white is this, we absorb it. This is what he's creating for us. So he's not running away from blackness because it's evil. He's not running away, because if darkness is evil and blackness is evil, he should be avoiding it. He should not be going towards it to deal with it. So then he goes on to say dark energy. The universe is made of Big Bang, further supernova, present universe, darkness. He clearly includes darkness in his conception of the universe. So it's not something where Africans are going to say darkness is evil and so is the no. The European knows that darkness isn't evil. He can see it. He can project it. But he needs to convince the African people that it is evil, so that African people, when you look in the mirror, you see that, you feel it. Socially, economically, politically, spiritually, intellectually, you are imprisoned by that illusion. So dark energy is the most powerful energy in the universe, right? Then he goes on to create the Dark Lord. In the Lord of the Rings, he calls the Dark Lord, right? The Dark Lord is this person who is supposed to be the embodiment of evil, the embodiment of darkness, the embodiment of death. But that is his projection. You see, let me go back to the previous slide. Now he shows the universe as 68% of the universe is dark energy, dark matter. Then he goes on to create the Dark Lord. He says the Dark Lord is the embodiment of evil, darkness, and death. So that means in the European's mind, 68% of the universe is evil, right? And it is the embodiment of evil. 68% of the universe is the embodiment of evil. Yet he has within his science, beyond the spectrum, he has something called black body radiation. Black body radiation is an energy which he uses to power his carbon or coal, all these type of things, right? There is a whole science called black body radiation, how black bodies conduct heat, how black bodies are thermally more positive, and they're more good for energy as opposed to visible color spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum. So he's trying to go beyond the visible spectrum to go into the blackness to acquire energy. However, he's telling the African people, this is evil. Don't do it. Don't follow it. Run away from it. So he's able to harvest technology, develop his people, elevate his society, build heat in his society, while Africans cannot even create electricity because they're afraid to harness black energy, coal, carbon, fossil fuel. Now, the ancient African had a conception of black. Modern Africans believe what you believe about black is constructed by Europeans. It was built by them and put in a dictionary, and it was projected onto you and you absorbed it, and then you relive it over and over, over and over. But the ancient Africans never had a European to project blackness onto them. They never had anyone there to tell them what blackness was. They knew it. And in their world, they projected themselves as black. Asar is black. The pharaohs are black. Everybody's black. So there are no issue with the idea of black. They might wear white robes, but that is an external thing. That is a tool. So the tool that they use might be white or possessing a white form or energy form, but they themselves project themselves as black. Nothing else. So they could perceive black with their eyes. They were aware of their skin color in the description of black, and they did have a holistic understanding of themselves. They knew the name, the black, the concept, and all these things. It was not attributed to negativity. Only when the Europeans was able to project it, then it gained a negative way of being perceived by black people. So there is a black woman right here. She is Mut. That means that because she is Mut, she is the high priestess of all the institutions of Kemet. That means because she is Mut, she's wearing the vulture crown, she is the ruler of the entire Africa. Inner Africa, external Africa, and every African colony, she controls all the institution. The pharaoh acts as a military body. She acts as the leader of the institution. She counts the money. She counts everything, the administration work. She does that. And she is projected as a black-skinned woman, fully black, right? But she's wearing tools that are different colors. So do you understand now, when we Africans exist in the world, the tools that we project, the tools that we use, they might be white, they might be colors, but we fundamentally exist in blackness. And that is what when nature strips us of all our technology, all our power, we will return to that color. So hating that color is useless, pointless, because you cannot escape it, right? Trying to maybe breed yourself out of it because you perceive it as ugly, it is a constructed illusion projected onto you, and you adopted it and you projected it onto yourself and you try to live up to it. That is why you try to bleach your skin. That is why you try to do these things, because of that. Now, black in history. Black, before the Greeks hated, before other races hated black people, they imitated black people. They painted their art as black. This is an image of the Greeks. They're before the century, the 5th century BCE. The Greeks painted themselves holistically black. Only when the black people started to forget themselves, they started to disunite, fight amongst themselves, argue with each other. When the black people constructed tribalism, when they started to go away from their blackness and focus more on the illusions of tribal, the tools that they created, or culture tools and all those things, right? When they started to be captivated by those things, they started to define themselves simply by culture and no longer by what the universe created. The Greeks stopped recognizing them. The Arabs stopped recognizing them. Every white people in the world stopped recognizing the black people, because the black people themselves started to distance themselves from their color. They started to project their culture first. They started to project the things that they create, right? If a Yoruba man or an Igbo or a Pele or a Bassa or a Mandingo man dies, when he goes to the spirit world, is he still a Mandingo man? No. Is he still a Yoruba man after he dies? No. You stop being Yoruba. The moment they put you in that grave, you stop being Yoruba. You stop being Mendi. You stop being Jamaican. You stop being Liberian. The minute you go into that, you go to a divine place, you become what the universe is. Whatever the universe is behind that curtain, you become that. So if the universe is darkness, that's what you're going to become. So you're no longer going to be Igbo. Only when you are born to a man and a woman who are physically projecting themselves as this, will you then be identified as that. But if I kidnap you and strip you of that identity, you will still continue in life. However, you will continue without that particular illusion. So, black in history was powerful. It was loved until it was hated. It was hated because Africans stopped projecting black and they started to project the illusions, culture, light, things that they create, material things. And as they start to do that, the Europeans took the idea, I will project myself as white, fundamentally, as superior. And he started to project it, and with that color projection into the world, he became more and more and more. And today, he's still projecting himself as white. He doesn't project himself as British, as American. He projects himself as white in the highest sphere. And then at the lowest sphere, he said, I'm British. And then, I'm this, I'm that. But fundamentally, he's that, to connect him to the universe. African people, even though he doesn't look like the white on this picture, he chose that color so that he could connect himself to the higher realms. African people, they run away from the black color so they can say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Then they project that, and then the European, he's white and you're or something, and then he's more superior to you because of where he connects to the universe and you don't connect to the universe. So let's pause here, and this will be this chapter for today. When we come back, let's continue on to how the Greeks perceive color. Let's continue into Asia, how blackness was in Asia and the yin yang, etc. and etc. We'll go. There's more to come, but I want to stop now so that we don't explode your brain for today. Go ahead, Sister Shanice. Yeah, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you so much for that introductory session today, family. Certainly hope that you enjoyed that presentation. First in our series, our new educational series that's introducing some new concepts, new terminologies, getting us to think differently as well as Africans. Whilst learning how we've been taught to think, we're going to unlearn all that we have learned, and we're going to relearn, some new concepts. So thank you so much for that. And so today, what I got out of this session really is that there is reality and there's also illusion. And the tools that are manifested from, the mind. Now, very cleverly as well, what I think you were really trying to show us today is how in ancient times, Black was revered. The Black goddesses, the Black deities, the concept of the universe, the studies that we did, Black, we saw ourselves as Black. And, we were proud of our Blackness as well. But in modern times, there have been new definitions about Black, and their intelligentsia, their scholars, their writers, etc., have given Black a meaning. On the one hand, when they talk about the Black in terms of the universe and the dark matter and energy, etc., powerful, powerful stuff. But when they talk about Black, in terms of the night and what happens during the night, powerful, powerful. But then we've got this whole social construct that they have written about Black to suggest that Black is evil, Black is wicked, Black is something you should fear. And a lot of us, and them as well, have absorbed this illusion of Black that they have ascribed to it. So then we need to ask ourselves, therefore, what definition of Black are we going to embrace? Are we going to hold on to what the ancients had to say about Blackness, or are we going to forget all of that and hold on to what the new kids on the block, the Europeans, the Caucasians from the Caucasus Mountains who call themselves white, are we going to just believe their definition and embrace their definition to the point where, it makes some of us feel uncomfortable about being Black? Yeah, really interesting. And what's also interesting for me that I haven't actually come across before is that you said that the Greeks painted themselves Black, but I do know that there were African Greeks as well, in the same way there were Africans that called themselves Romans. Just like today, we've got Africans who call themselves Europeans or Americans and Canadians, whereas the perception is that, Europeans are white. No, not all Europeans are white. So that's really interesting. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say about that. But yeah, I mean, personally, I'm proud of my Blackness. I love being Black. I believe in the power of Blackness.
It is, as you say, it is the illusion is what it's constructing us. It's like constricting us, suffocating us in this life. We all have the power to project into the world. The mind, we all have images in the mind, things that are illusions. But those people who are willing to take that image and write it down, scholars get together at a table, write it down in a book, mass produce the book, sell the book, Lord of the Rings, to everybody. We all go and watch Lord of the Rings, and then they're constantly showing you, bombarding you with the images to alter the image creator in your mind. So they capture the image creator in your mind, and then when you project a new image into the world, you create that hatred.
So to those who have an aversion to being called Black, what you've done is you've embraced this illusion that has been, projected into our minds about what Black is, about Black being demonic, evil, wicked, and all the rest of it. No, not at all. If we look up Black in nature, Black is powerful. Black is everywhere. Black is there. And it's only when you turn on the light that light projects itself and comes through. Turn off that light and it does.
Those people who hate their Blackness, tonight you're going to go home, you're going to lay in your bed, you're going to sleep on that bed. Under that bed is Blackness. In the closet is Blackness. You're going to turn off the light, and you're going to be touching your wife or husband in that Blackness. And then you're going to wake up the next day and go by your business without appreciating that Blackness which just restored you, right? And in this delusion, we have to change. We have to make our own decisions. We have to be our own scholars. What we say that Blackness is in our dictionary that we come together and build, and we project it onto each other. This is recolorization. I just decolorized you just now, and I recolorized you. So now if you go write your dictionary, Sister Shanice, what are you going to put for Blackness in that dictionary?
Oh, the greatness of Blackness. Yeah, the universe. Let's talk about the universe, the Blackness within the universe. The fact that Black gives other colors light. Without the Black that it can emanate from. We wouldn't see the colors. And the other thing that makes people fearful of Black as well, of course, is what the film industry has done. They've created all these vampires and demons that come out the dark. They make people frightened of their shadow, don't they?
Yeah.
Only if you watch those movies, only if you watch those films, are you likely to feel that fear. So that's why personally I don't watch those horror movies, because they're designed to make you fearful of Black.
And the European is his culture. He's projecting his culture. So if we projected our culture, nothing's stopping us from making them the evil or them the this or them the that. Nothing's stopping us from doing that. The only thing is we don't project ourselves. We absorb their projection. Our image system in our mind is colonized. Then we regurgitate that into our children, our families, our communities. And that is what constantly put us in this situation. Once you decide to no longer accept their definition of anything, you're free. You are completely free from their definition of the world from that point.
Does Black as a color absorb other colors? Is that something that Black does naturally in nature? Absorb? Does melanin absorb? Is there something spiritual about Black that it seems to absorb, all of this negativity, all of this indoctrination, all of this pseudoscience and everything else that's thrown at us? We seem to absorb it, don't we? Rather than batting it back as a load of nonsense and something that's just an illusion that's been created and imposed on us, we do seem to absorb. I know that we absorb energy, but we had a higher and more efficient rate than any of the other species on the planet. I know that we absorb energy, light. So, is there something special about how the fact that Black absorbs maybe more than it really ought to absorb?
Black has many features. One of the traits of Black is to absorb, but that's just one. It has many, many other characteristics. For example, the code in the universe is created by Black, right? So Black, the youth that you have, the code creates the youth, and the heat is what causes us to die. So we human beings, we experience death not because of the darkness in the universe, but because of the sun. The sun burns our lifespan because we're made of water, right? Every day, the waters, your cells are burning up and they're dying and they're becoming skin layers, right? So the sun is what's causing us to age and die. What Black does is it absorbs the sunlight, the heat, and it cools it down to create a cool energy state. So a cool energy state that you can now use to heat up other things. So if you take Black can burn, right? So it doesn't just absorb, it can burn, it can project, it can emit. When it burns, it becomes ash. It reaches the highest, or it reaches a state where it is done burning, right? It just becomes ash. So Black is an energy that burns, projects, cools, balances, it stabilizes. It does everything that all the colors does. The only thing is those who have it within them don't know how to use it. They only absorb because they are taught to live in the world as receivers rather than, people who project in the world, people who do things in the world. Because when you are doing things actively in the world, you are taking command of your energy and you are burning your energy the way you choose. We don't do that as Black people. We are in a state of inertia. So we have a Black called inertia Black. Inertia Black is an energy that absorbs heat. Everything that people project at it, it absorbs. Mm-hmm. It doesn't use the energy it absorbs. It doesn't do anything with the energy. The energy festers inside the Black and it corrupts it, making it sick, right? Mm-hmm. So the way for you to cure the Black is absorb the energy, burn the energy, and project the energy the way you choose. So that is what Black does. It does many things. We just use it for one dimension, absorption.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. We've learned now that we need to project that Blackness, and we, in terms of Blackness, we can operate on a multiplicity of levels. At the moment, we're absorbing too much, but we're not burning up what we absorb and projecting back that greatness inside of us. And that's what we have the potential to do. So thank you so much for that. I'm just going to end with a quote here from our beloved John Henry Clarke, who says, "To control a people, you must first control what they think about themselves and how they regard their history and culture. And when your conqueror makes you ashamed of your culture and your history, he needs no prison walls and no chains to hold you." And so, we are changing one show at a time, the way that we think about ourselves. Wow. Thank you so much, Brother Mitri. And to those of you who are wondering what's this up here, this is my latest book that you can get on Amazon. This book will remind you of our greatness. It will remind you of the accomplishments, some of the accomplishments, and there are many in this book, of our ancients, of our greats, prior to our interaction with Europeans. And I think we all need to be reminded during these times of our greatness, because that will help us then to bounce back and project outwards the greatness that's inside of us. So we're not just going to be absorbing all of that negativity, but we'll burn it up and project outwards what our ancestors were able to do during the times of old. Well, family, thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure that you watch out for the second in our series of educational programs that's going to de-colour-nise us and re-colour-nise us as a people. Thank you very much. Sister Shanice, out of here for now. Bye for now.